Welcome to Dark Knight Films Reviews and another action movie night. Tonight, I will be reviewing Superman 3, released in 1983. Superman 3 stars Christopher Reeve, Richard Pryor, Jackie Cooper, Marc McClure, Annette O'Toole, Robert Vaughn, Annie Ross, Margot Kidder, and Gavan O'Herilhy. Superman 3 was directed by Richard Lester. Now this one is solely written by David and Leslie Newman and has no input from Mario Puzo. And it shows because any of his serious stuff that was in Superman and Superman 2 is now gone in this one, because this is full on all Richard Lester, and all the goofy comedy shit that he put into 2, he's jumped up to a higher level in this one. And then you have Richard Pryor in it joining the cast as Gus Gorman. And Richard Pryor being in a Superman film is like when I mentioned the sheriff in 2, how he was so out of place. I mean, the country sheriff was so out of place. He seemed like he was out of something like Smokey and the Bandit or the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He did not fit into a Superman film. And Richard Pryor is that way because of one reason. Richard Pryor is known for his raunchy humor. And if you limit him with a PG film to where he cannot do any of his stuff that makes him funny and makes him interesting and makes him cool, he's a watered down version, and that's what he is in this. He's a watered down slapstick version of what Richard Pryor should be. So why even put him in here? And then you have Annette O'Toole as Lana Lang, which is fine. She's serious in her portrayal in this. She does well enough in her performance, but this limits Margot Kidder to basically just a little short cameo in this film, to where she is just not even, she's a non-factor in this. And I get Lana Lang was in the comics, yes. But that character should have been in the storylines involving the younger Clark Kent before he was Superman and shit like that. You know, to have him return back to Smallville and meet up with her and start rekindling their so-called romance, when we've already had in the previous 2 films established this whole big romance between him and Lois. It's a discredit to the first 2 films. And then you have a villain that is just the weakest of this series in Robert Vaughn. And I love Robert Vaughn as an actor, but Robert Vaughn as Ross Weber and his annoying Annie Ross playing Vera Webster, but it just, those 2 characters are not good villains for a Superman movie. Number one, they're not Superman comics characters at all. They are created specifically for this film so that Richard Lester can have his goofy, idiotic characters in here. the whole Gus Gorman, the Ross Webster, the Vera Webster, and then her near the end, Vera Webster near the end, getting sucked into the machine and turned into this robotic version of her and doing all this shit and attacking Superman. It's just stupid. The best part of Superman 3 is when Superman is contaminated by kryptonite and it opens up his dark side, his evil side. And he starts, not caring about people like he was at the beginning of the film and becomes this complete jerk. And you get this great moment where he's struggling within himself, and you get the separation where Clark and Superman separate. Superman is the villain, Clark is the hero. And they fight, and it's almost like what we could have gotten with a Bizarro Superman in film form. And it was just an awesome sequence. Best sequence in this film. It's the only reason to watch this film is for that sequence. Jackie Cooper, Marc McClure reprised their roles as Perry White and Jimmy Olsen, and while they're on screen, they're doing their best with what they're given. As is Margot Kidder for what little screen time she gets. But yeah, this is definitely, to me, the worst of the Superman movies. I don't know why Warner Brothers decided to bring back Richard Lester to direct a whole fucking film when he bastardized Richard Donner's vision in Superman 2. The only reason that film survived intact and worked out okay was because they didn't just shit can all of Donner's work, and Donner's work was still in there somewhat. This one, it's all Richard Lester. And like I said, the only redeemable quality of this film is the Clark Kent Superman fight in the junkyard. So yeah, my final review of Superman 3 from 1983. So I'm going to give this film a 6.9 out of 10. Definitely the bottom of the barrel when it comes to the Superman films. But what do you guys think? Do you agree with my review? Do you disagree? Let me know in those comments down below. And as usual, if you enjoy this video, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to click that bell icon so you can be notified about future videos just like this one. And while you're next to the subscribe button, click that join button to become a Dark Knight fan. Anyway, hope you enjoyed tonight's action movie night, and I hope you will join me tomorrow for another video game night. Thanks for watching.